everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. Today we're going to be using some free product that you can get when you purchase $100 worth from Stampin' Up! During Celebration. Celebration, I mislaid my calendar. Celebration is from July 1st to August 31st, 2022. The stamp set we're going to be using today is Wonderful World, which is on page 14. You get the stamp set and the paper. And we are going to be using all three of the flowers today. And we will be using some of this beautiful paper. And I've shown this paper before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it is quite beautiful. In a previous video, I made a stack of boxes with this paper. So if you go back and look at that. So we're going to get started. And today I'm going to show you what we are making. The card I'm going to show you is made out of some retired product. But this is the card we're making. And this card is called a pop-out gatefold card. Now I got this idea from Sam Colcutt, Mixed Up Paper Crafts out of the UK. She had done several of them in a 6x6 and a 5x7. This is a standard A2 card. So I wanted to give it a try in a smaller size. And the card opens up. It's got a little belly band. And when the card opens up and you bend it out, whoop, and you give that a little shove, this pops out of the center and it stands up just like that. It's decorated on the back. It's a really sweet card. I love it. So I want to show you a new version with the new paper and the stamp set. But this is what we're going to be making today. So you'll find all the description of all the products I use and all the dimensions in the description bar below. Please subscribe and like so you know about future videos. And we will get started. So first we need a piece of paper, and this paper is 5.5 by 8.5. And we're going to score it, and I'm going to be using my Simply scoreboard to do that. We're using Rich Razzleberry, and we are going to score that at 2 1/8. Oop. 2 1/8. I'm going to look at my dimensions to make sure I get them right. 4 1/4 and 6 3/8, or you can just flip around to do 2 1/8 again. So those are all the scoring we're going to be doing on this card. So we can get rid of the scoreboard. And you can make your decision if you want to burnish or not. I prefer to burnish before I add paper and stuff to my cards, but it is your choice. I just find it easier to make sure I stay inside of the lines where I want everybody to be. And since this card is going to move different directions, I like to fold it in several different directions. And so there's our base of our card. Next you need 8 pieces of, I'm using Blushing Bride, whatever color you want. Now I've already stuck my paper onto it. And I've also, you're going to need 6 pieces of whatever designer paper you're using. We're using the Wonderful World. So I cut them in a very specific order. The 4 that are going to go on the front of the panel, I wanted them to be in order. So I've actually mounted them on the Blushing Bride, and I have marked them 1, 2, and 3. So that when you look at them, I'll just pull this one back, you can see that all the flowers and stuff match going across the page. This is strictly optional, but it's what I wanted to do on this. So these 4 are going to go across here in just a moment. And then you need 4 for the back. And I've already stamped these back ones. So you need 2 that are just with pattern on it. Of course, we'll turn it the right way. And then I stamped a flower on each of these, and I'm going to show you how these flowers are made as well as the one on the front. Now this particular set does not have any sentiments. So I went looking for a sentiment I would like, because I'm giving this just to somebody. So I went to Forever Fern, which is found in the annual catalog, I believe on page 73. And this is a beautiful set. It does have dies that come with it. Anyhow, I wanted to use To a Friend That Makes Me Smile. So that is the sentiment we're going to be using. And we've already placed it there. I've done a lot of pre-cutting on this just because it is time-consuming to build all these pieces. And I'm sure most of you know how to glue some paper onto other paper. So we're going to leave the back to last. First, we're going to take and build the center feature. Now, the center feature of this is a circle, and I used, I believe it was the largest layering circle dial, which I don't have with me in here, and the next size down that fits. Now, you notice there is a little mark there if you might be able to see it. We don't have to worry about that because we're going to cover that up. And this is going to be our centerpiece that pops out. So we have to take and build the piece that works in the center. So you are going to need a piece of, you could use Blushing Bride or Rich Razzleberry. I'm using Rich Razzleberry, and I forgot we do need to score this because this is the piece that's going to go across this piece. So we're going to set this aside here and grab my scoreboard real quick. And we're going to score this at a 1/2 inch on each side. Sometimes it's just easier to flip it. And then there's this little mechanism, and this is another piece, and this one is 3/4 inch by 3 inches, and we are going to score it at, and like I said, all the dimensions will be in the description. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, and 2.5. That's what we're going to use to make the mechanism for the center of the card. The reason we have to do this piece first is we have to get it glued down before we can put the these pieces on the inside. So just take and fold this and just give it a quick burnish so it holds down. Then you're going to want to take this and just give it a little curl with your bone folder. You don't want it folded up hard, but you just want a little curl to it. And what you're going to want to do is you want to glue this about halfway down the card, and it doesn't have to be precise, but you know, if you got a grid, use it. You know, give you a rough idea where you're at. And you're going to use a little adhesive, and you want it to go right to the fold line, but not over the fold line. So we'll grab some glue. And I said right about there. Oops, square that up a little bit. Grids do help when you're trying to line things up. It gives you a rough idea where you're supposed to be. Oop, a little too much glue there. That's okay. I'm going to hold that for a second till it kicks in. I'm just going to do a little wipe there so no one will notice it's there. We'll hold that for just a second. And you can use other types of tape if you want. I just personally prefer this. So anyhow, like I said, I've got these numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to put them on in this order so that the pattern all comes out. So the first two are really quite easy. Put the 2 ends on first. Make sure your flowers are going the right way if you're using this paper or any other directional paper. Make sure you cut them straight. Now these, put the first one in. Glue there. What you're going to do is lift up very carefully, go underneath. Try not to get glue anywhere. You're going to want to push it all the way out to where that almost meets the piece you had in there. See how nice little flowers line up there? Then we'll put the last one in. And line it up. Sorry about my head if I got it in the way. That makes the flowers all look like they all belong on the same page. Okay, now at this point I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces onto the back. And then we'll concentrate on the front. So the 2 end pieces, and you can put these in other order. I mean, you don't have to have these on the end. You could have a saying on one and put 3 panels of flowers and only use 1 panel for your greeting, or use more panels for greeting if you need it. Remember, always make your card your own. Even if you're following somebody else's example of what they've done, that's part of the challenge and fun, is making it your own. So that's this piece here. Now I'm going to grab a piece of paper, old paper, because I've discovered there's something on my mat and I do not want it on the back of this. So I'm going to flip this onto something else. It's time to wash the mat. And we're going to work on the circle and the mechanism. So the first thing is the circle is you want to glue it to your other circle. And there is 2 sides to a piece of paper. I made a mistake, but no one else is going to know. Don't tell. And line that up in the middle of the circle there. Okay, so that's the first part. Excuse me. Now this is our mechanism. And so you want to fold the first one in like that. So you're making just like a, so you got a valley and then a mountain. And the same other side, valley and a mountain. So when it comes together, you're looking at it, looks like a little table, like that. And then give it a good burnish. I'm going to show you how to stamp these flowers, but we're going to use the one that goes on the front. Put a little glue on just the 2 little flaps. See the 2 little flaps? They're like this. The little feet. Open the little feet up and try to go right in the center of this other piece. And so your flaps are right where the fold line is. And I'll show you, my fingers are in the way, but I have to hold them there for a few minutes. You want to make sure this doesn't shift onto your other paper and that you have a good hold there. So once you get that done, then we're going to put this on. And so you put a little glue on this one. Like I said, you could use other adhesive. And I'm going to try not to get my head in the middle here. Put that right in the center and hold it for just a second. And I know you guys all see that marked same as I do, but we will come back and fix that in just a minute. So there's the card, and it pops out on its little hinge very nicely. I think it's a very cool card. Stands up really nice. So let's set that aside and let's make a belly band for it. Now before we do that, I think we better stamp a flower. So I've got a piece of paper, and this piece of paper we're using, I'm using here the Scalloped decor dies, and I believe it is the 3rd one in. Yeah, 3rd one in. And then I've cut a piece of plain basic paper. piece of paper to go inside of that, which is 2 inches by, I believe, 3 1/4. So this is what we're going to make as our topper for our belly band. But first, we need a flower. So I decided, since I used the rose here, I put an iris here, and I'm not even sure what this one's called. I've tried to figure it out. I haven't done it yet. So if someone can tell me what kind of flower this flower is, I would love to know. But since I really love irises, I decided we are going to do a purple, actually it's Rich Razzleberry iris for the front of our card. So I have already mounted the iris onto my block. And what we're going to do is we are going to use Stampin' Right markers, because this allows us to get 2 colors down as one. And here's the rest of them I used. But I figured you didn't seem to watch me do the tedious thing. It's really not that bad. When you're doing it, make sure that you are using the side of your brush, not the top nib at the very end of your brush, and just go along and color the flower, and turn the block so it's the right direction for you. Now this is a piece of green sticking out there, and I go over it a couple times to make sure I got a good amount of ink on it. You want a good turnout. And then I take the green, and I'm using Old Olive for the green. Pear Pizzazz was not dark enough for me, so you could just put your green in and try not to get into the other colors. And then just do your steps. This is very relaxing, and I know some people find it, I find it relaxing, other people don't, but it is a great way, a little more up there, to get all the color into there. So this is where we get to do the stamping huff. See how much hot air we all have? Now we're going to push down and hold steady. Let it sit for just a second to make sure we get a good seal. And there is our flower. Now let's see if I made one just in case. Not too bad, but I think the first one I made is better. So we'll use it. I'll use that one for something else. And of course, when you're done, you want to clean your thing with either a chamois or a scrubber. Clean up as you go. Then you don't have ink accidentally transferring to something else. Nothing worse than me working on a project. You throw an ink pad that has ink on it, and you throw another card or some piece of paper, designer paper, onto the top of it, and you have a mess. It's not worth it. Okay, so now that we have our flower, we are going to glue that right on the top. And I just sort of lined it up among the stitches there, right in the middle of the stitches. And then we need a piece of paper for our belly band. And this paper is 1 inch by 10 inches. Now we're going to grab this back over here. I want to make sure he's all dry. He is. We're going to fold this in. And it will be a little stiff, and it won't close completely because of the bulkiness of this. You're not going to be using dimensionals on this because this card is quite, you can see it's quite thick in there because you've got all the layers. So you want to use dimensionals. And I usually just set my, what I do is I start about 1 inch over from the center because I know I have something large covering it anyhow. And I gently just fold around. Don't force it. Don't make it tight. Just gently fold it in so that when you move it, it slides freely. You don't want, the worst thing that people do is they get a card and it's too tight and they can't move it. Now I'm finding mine's a little snug, so I'm going to try to back off that just a little bit. Give a little extra room, and then I'm going to glue this down. pull back just slightly on my fold there. So all you have to do is just pull back, just get a little gap here and pull back. So it's enough. You got to hold it or the card will bust it open. So you got to let it dry first. A belly band is just to look pretty on the front and to hold it. It's not something that, you know, should restrain the card. So belly band will slide on and off just fine. And like I said, if it's not dry yet, it won't hold it. So, okay. Then we're going to go ahead and put this here, and I'm going to glue that on the front. I'm putting the glue right on this, right in the center. Line up and center your... If you look at the scallops are just right. Even if you find the center one, you can line up on the top and bottom beautifully, so you know it's centered. Just count them. So we're gonna hold that for just a second until it dries. Enough. Now we need some embellishments. So first I made a little white double bow out of baker's twine. And we're going to use a glue dot to put that on. And I'm just going to grab a glue dot with my paper piercer, put it right on the back of that. Sort of ball it up so it's hidden behind it, and put it about there on my card. So that's that one. Then I decided that this card needed some embellishments. So I started looking in the embellishment box, and where did they go? I decided these were flowers. They needed butterflies. And so these are the brushed brass butterflies. Fairly new pack too. Okay, come on and open. So my thought is we should put one, I don't know if we should big, yeah, we'll go big ones. So I thought we should put one big one right here as he approaches the flower. And then on the inside, my little mistake right there. And that mistake is because I rocked the block when I was stamping, but the flower turned out so well, I figured I'd just cover it up with a beautiful butterfly. So we have a beautiful gatefold pop-up card with a belly band. So everyone, go out, give this a try or something like it. Be creative today, and please, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any ideas of cards you would like made or techniques you'd like to see, please let me know, and I will try to accommodate you. And until we meet again, go out and be creative. It's good for the soul. Have a good day. Bye-bye.